Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Mike Tellerino. I am here with State Representative Harry Benton, Illinois representative from 97th District. Tonight we're going to talk about some affairs that have to do with our veterans and how we're going to be able to do some changes to make their life better. Harry, why don't you start out by telling us, let's talk about Pets for Vets, because we're K9 for Veterans, that's close to my heart.
Right. So there's a great bill that I passed in this last session in the 103rd General Assembly, which is bill number HB 2500, which we called Pets for Vets. It's a great thing. It's an initiative that I was pretty passionate about doing, so we can help get care animals and service animals into the hands of veterans. So what it does is it waives the fees within a 1-year period for one dog or one cat for a veteran, as long as you can prove veteran status. It's a great thing, and we're going to get dogs and cats cleared out of control facilities, animal shelters.
That's amazing, it really is.
And get some real support for our veterans.
So a veteran who's looking for a dog or a cat, he just goes to the shelter, proves that he's a veteran, and they in turn just waive the adoption fees.
Correct.
That's great, because some of those adoption fees can get way up there in price. There's no doubt about that.
Correct.
That's
yeah.
amazing. So I know I was talking to some of our veterans about it, and they were just like waiting. When is it going to take effect? And it takes effect when? January 1st,
yeah,
right?
it's going to be taking effect 2024.
2024. That's going to be a great bill. Okay, homeless preference bill. Tell me about that.
So that was a bipartisan effort. That's Senate Bill 2005. And I worked with Senator Wilcox. He is a former colonel within the Air Force. Really nice guy. And we wanted to make sure that we offer some more housing options for homeless veterans. So as a veteran himself and somebody that is very active within the veteran community. Myself, my grandmother retired from the VA, my mother retired from the VA, my grandfather was a POW in World War II. My other grandfather was the chief aviation mechanic on the USS Enterprise, World War II. My father was Vietnam Navy. My uncle was Army Infantry, Agent Orange. Unfortunately,
Right.
We had a family member that was born with spinal bifida
yeah.
because of it, and we lost her due to medical complications at a young age.
Terrible.
And then I also have a Purple Heart Vietnam veteran. My uncle was in the Marines and stepped on a landmine.
You've got to come from a long line of military.
Yeah, this is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and making sure that we get homeless veterans the care that they need, and then also get them the housing. With a lot of things that are going on right now, talking about housing, especially with the migrant situation that we're dealing with here
Right.
in the state of Illinois and all around the country, we need to make sure that we are compassionate with the situation, but we also need to make sure that we prioritize our veterans to get them
Right.
off the street, because...
And I think that's what upsets me the most about it, is that we have so many homeless veterans right now here in just Illinois alone, that we should be taking care of those veterans that are homeless, living, on the streets, eating out of garbage cans, and just need health care, and they're not getting it,
That's correct. In the state of Illinois, I have to commend Terry Prince. And
Good guy.
Great guy. With our Department of Veterans Affairs, we've been doing exceptional work along with Terry Prince. And if you've ever seen Terry Prince is a very tall man. He is.
You can't miss him.
He is quite literally standing
Right.
tall for veterans here
Yeah,
in
he
Illinois.
is. Yeah.
And we've been working on major initiatives. We have an initiative in the state of Illinois, No Homeless Veterans. And then this is going to offer some more preference for that housing, whether you need to be closer to family, whether you need to be closer to your care provider. We want to make sure that they are prioritized, along with, very active with seniors. We need to make sure that seniors are taken care of. We need to make sure that folks with developmental disabilities are still taken care of, and we need to prioritize that within the budget.
Well, I know the VA, I know they're overwhelmed, and I know they're doing everything they can with what they have to work with. And speaking with Terry, he's got some plans for the very near future to roll that out faster to these veterans that are in need of assistance. You know, he's got some ideas that he's going to put forward, and I'm really happy to say that Terry's the kind of guy, he'll get it done.
He will.
He's a mover and a shaker when it comes to our veterans.
He's a very compassionate person as a veteran himself,
Yeah.
and he's just a forward thinker. He's looking 5, 10, 20 years out to
Yeah.
make sure that we have a comparable plan here in the state of Illinois to take care of our veterans.
Well, like I said, I believe he's going to do a lot to help our veterans. What about talk about the ASCO? Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, so there's the ASCO conference that I attended. I was the only state legislator there, and I sit on prescription drug affordability committees, and then I also sit on Veterans Affairs. So that ASCO conference is and I'll make sure I get this right, the American Society of Clinical Oncology. So I was one of the few people in the room that wasn't a doctor. And they had a Nobel Peace Prize laureate there that worked on immunotherapies as part of this forum to educate people, educate folks within oncology, along with the undersecretary of the VA. He was doing a great job talking about the Hatch Act, making sure that our veterans that were involved in burn pits and cancer situations later on down the line are taken care of. And what this immunotherapy is doing, along with Bristol Myers Squibb, they've been kind of leading the charge with the VA on this one. And they do a simple blood draw,
Right.
send that blood off, do a T-cell therapy and an incorporation of medication, send it back, do a simple blood transfusion back in. Certain types of cancer, 70% remission rate.
Wow.
With no chemo, no radiation, no hair loss.
70%.
70%. It has been
Wow.
wildly successful, and the VA has been just very open to making sure that our veterans have that option and have that access to that care.
That's unbelievable. What do you think the biggest issues our veterans are facing today, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's medical care, for sure. Medical care, housing, jobs. I'm an iron worker by trade, and we have a lot of programs within the building trades, helmets to hard hats, transitioning veterans straight into construction jobs, building trades, good paying jobs. Medical care is always going to be at the top. Always going to be at the top.
Right.
We need to talk about mental health care too. We need to support our veterans because they were in terrible situations.
Right.
And
We couldn't imagine.
no, they have long-term effects because of what they've seen and the environment that they were in. So when they come back, we have to make sure that we are working on mental health initiatives,
Right.
and we are working on PTSD. We're getting them the medical care that they need. We just have to do better, and I think the VA is making strides
Right. They
in
are.
that case. My mom worked for the VA for 36 years, Heinz 22 years, 14 years outpatient care in Joliet, and I grew up going to veteran housing, giving gifts for the holidays, and meeting with everyone. My mother was very passionate about that, and we have gotten significantly better, but we can always do better.
Wow. You know, I just think that we need to put our veterans first and foremost before we do anything for anybody else. Our veterans took that oath. They were willing to step up to the plate and put everything on the line, and I think when they come home, we should be doing the same thing for them.
I agree.
Do you have any other future bills that you would like to see go through for the veterans?
Yeah, so I worked on a few other ones in this last session. I had HB 3677, which is a hunting and fishing license bill. A lot of veterans are hunters. and
Avid
fishermen.
hunters, right.
Yeah, and so what that does is that offers a 3-year option for a hunting and fishing license, and it also offers a automatic annual renewal, but veterans get a 50% discount on their licensing. So that's a great thing. Seniors end up getting a 50% discount, and if you hit 75 or older, you are a super senior, and you pay $1.
A super
for your
senior?
Super senior.
That's a good way of putting it.
The terminology was pretty funny. I was working with
Yeah.
DNR on that one. I also had another one. It's HB 95, and that's a military fee waiver. We passed that one. My wife worked with somebody whose husband was a military recruiter here in the state of Illinois, and she was paying her fees to be a hairstylist, and didn't understand that there was a program through the Department of Defense to waive those fees, since they moved around within the active military
Right.
system. So now this flags all of that through IDFPR. So if we ever have any active military or their spouses that need professional licensing, their application will be flagged and let them know about the program so they can be reimbursed through the Department
That's
of
great.
Defense.
That's a huge help.
Yeah.
Huge help. Let me ask you a question, and I know we didn't talk about this. If a veteran is suffering from PTSD and he has a FOID card, could that prevent him from keeping his FOID card? If he's diagnosed with PTSD, is that something that could prohibit him from keeping his FOID card?
So I have a friend that is an instructor for concealed carry licenses, tactical. He's military. He works with a lot of different veterans on this issue, and to my knowledge, and I'm not going to speak out of turn here, but
Right.
to my knowledge, a lot of folks are still eligible for their FOID card. It's when they have a major medical issue or a mental health issue that ends up flagging it, that they can lose it.
Right.
But I would have to defer to the Illinois State Police on that one to make sure that it's taken
I
care of.
think a lot of veterans that I've talked to that I deal with a lot that have PTSD, they're afraid that if they go public or too much acknowledgement about their PTSD, that their FOID card would be jeopardized. And I often wondered if that was true or not.
We need to change the stigma. I know some veterans right now that are getting treatment for PTSD, and they still have a FOID card.
They do.
Yeah. So we need to do a little bit better to destigmatize PTSD and mental health. I don't think it's a disqualifier for a lot of folks.
Do you think there's a stigma attached to PTSD?
Oh, 100%.
Just
Yeah.
that, I don't know. I think people are afraid of someone, well, he's got PTSD.
These are.
Is that something there's nothing you need to be afraid of. I deal with people, veterans all day long with PTSD, and they're as normal as you or I, just
Right.
they have moments that, they get a little depressed or anxiety sets in, but they're not suicidal or,
No.
for the most part.
I think there is a stigma, and a lot of people are trying to shift out of the terminology of PTSD and moving into PTSI, because it's
Right.
an injury and not a disorder. And I think we need to destigmatize that, because a lot of people are going through their own struggles, their mental health struggles,
Right.
stress within their daily life. And the more we destigmatize mental health and start getting people the treatment that they need, the better. I was just on a phone call today with the chief of the Joliet Police Department about the mental health initiative that they started, where they will actually get you in touch with, I believe it's called ThriveWorks, and they will get you in with a provider that will work with your insurance. If you don't have insurance, the Joliet Fire Department, will pay for your consultations with mental health.
Really?
And then also help you out with your deductibles. And since they put this in place, the returns on investment have been just
That's great.
tremendous.
That's really great.
It's so wildly successful that they are going in, and people that they were constantly there once a week or once every other week, they're going and doing mental health checks and wellness checks on them because they haven't heard anything, and they get there and say, "Oh no, it's working great. I'm part of
Yeah.
a program. I'm doing great, thank you." And
Yeah.
and they have seen suicides under 30 go down dramatically through this program. They have seen mental health calls go down dramatically through the program. And every time you send out an ambulance, the cost is about $3,000.
Really?
Yes, and then
Whoa.
when you have the police responding with, you're talking $4,000, $5,000
Sure.
every call. And if they can get them into a program and the cost is $1,000 and they don't have to go there every week and potentially take somebody to the hospital and not get the care that they deserve, then we're doing a disservice. And I think they are doing a great job. And Plainfield Township is rolling out a program. Lockport Township's going to roll out a program. Joliet Township has a program right now. And the more we can get this program out there, I think we are going to truly start cutting costs. We're going to get care to people, and we are going to start making a really dramatic difference.
That's great. I didn't know about that program at all.
Yeah.
But Will County, I know I was talking with Jim Glasgow, who's a good friend of mine. They have the program in court where if you're a veteran and you get arrested for whatever crime, if they give you community service or you need to go for treatment for alcoholism or whatever, that if you complete that, whatever the judge tells you you have to do, that'll come off your record.
Yeah.
It'll be like it never happened.
Yeah.
I forget what they call that court.
Veterans Court.
Veterans Court.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They call it the Veterans Court. And I was
Yeah.
working with, I have a friend of mine who has PTSD, and he was on the Marine Corps Times Magazine. He was the most decorated sniper in Fallujah.
Really?
Yeah, he went through a lot of issues, and I was working with him to try to help out, and then COVID hit, and it just got really bad. But we were trying to get him the care that he deserved because he ended up receiving a SILT, which is a separation in lieu of trial, because he was using cannabis to help with his PTSD so he could sleep. The things that he is seeing is just, I couldn't even imagine.
No,
So
don't want to.
We want to make sure that that's happening. I've also been helping some veterans try to get their FOID card back because they got out, they made a mistake, and then they've got something on their record.
Right.
And the Illinois State Police has a program where they can help expunge the record and get them back on their feet and get them back on track.
That's great. That's really awesome what they're doing with that then, yeah. We were talking earlier about psychedelic.
It is a
Very controversial.
It is. There is a bill right now in the House. It's HB1. It's House Bill number 1. And it is the approval of psilocybin in coordination with therapies for medical use. I just did a presentation. I was part of a forum out at the American Legion in Pilsen. And we talked to a lot of veterans. And what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of veterans that have PTSD are also bipolar. And with bipolar disorder, they can't use cannabis. Cannabis has a negative effect on bipolar. So there was just research that was put out last week that with a psilocybin dose in coordination with therapies with a medical professional, they had 12 weeks incident-free after that.
Really?
So we need to do better for our veterans, and a lot of veterans that were in the room.
What do you think the biggest issue with that is, that they won't authorize it to be used? Just the stigma attached?
We had an entire movement within the 80s of say no to drugs.
Yeah.
So there's this stigma, but we also have organic solutions to try to help our veterans. And right now with ketamine has been successful in the treatment of bipolar disorder, but now we're starting to see ketamine shortages. And we have organic options where we can go out there and we can help our veterans. And there's just a lot of research on psilocybin.
But is that a treatment that would be for all veterans with PTSD? Or is it based on an individual's?
So this is in coordination with medical providers and therapies. So if they feel that a veteran is eligible for this, then that should be a treatment option. And I think any treatment option that's going to try to help our veterans should be out there, should be available,
Right.
And it's between heavier usage or heavier treatment along with microdosing. They've seen results with anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder, PTSD. And there's a lot of treatment there. And as coming from somebody who's a pretty moderate person, right down the middle, I look at things from a pragmatic approach and a policy approach. And if this is going to be beneficial for people, then I think we need to do it. And there's some other states that have looked into it. There are some medical providers and research that's being put out there. I've talked to pharmacists, medical providers, and it's just, I'm not seeing the negatives.
You were talking about the success rate, and you said it's got a really good success rate.
Yeah.
With the patients that have been on the trial, that it's really done wonders for them.
There's a lot of research out there. All the medical providers that I talked to, again, I was talking to firefighters on this one where they see that there's results out there. I gave a presentation at Midwestern University, a College of Pharmacy, and I was talking to pharmaceutical students and professors about this, and they said there are clear-cut results out there. So if we can get people off of these synthetic medications that are essentially creating zombies, right? We have people that aren't even in control of their own body and their emotions and their relationships. So if this is going to be something that's going to help them live a normal life,
What do you
we
think the
have to
biggest
look
hurdle
into that.
is with getting something like this passed? What is the biggest hurdle?
It's the stigma. It's the
Just
stigma.
public conception of it?
Yeah.
Perception?
Honestly, since I've been talking about it, I haven't heard a lot of negatives. I keep hearing all these people saying, "Why aren't we doing it?" And then if there are going to be negatives, we have to tell everybody about the 1,000 positives if there's one negative.
Right.
There's a lot of things that get very complicated within legislation and within the way that we do things within government. And I think we need to do things to take steps to better people's lives. Whether we have to work with, I work with pharma and other medical
Right.
providers on prescription drug affordability. We passed a prescription drug generic fair pricing bill that holds manufacturers accountable. So if they're price gouging, we can do an investigation and make sure that we're not price gouging consumers.
Right.
There's programs out there which blow my mind where insurance isn't covering something or their prices go up, and then they can get part of a free program called GoodRx and get manufacturers rebates and get it cheaper than they can through their insurance.
Right.
These are some of the things that we need to look at, and some of it has to do with insurance, some of it has to do with pharmaceutical companies, things like that. We have to do what's right for people.
You know, I think if it's been proven to work, why would we not continue with?
And that's the case we have to make going into the
Exactly. I mean, if it's been
2024
proven to
session.
help our veterans with PTSD and TBI, I don't see what harm it's going to do
Right.
to authorize that. How long do you think it'll take to get that bill passed?
We're hoping to do it in the 2024 session
Yeah.
within this 103rd General Assembly. And I hope it passes, and I hope we get the care to our veterans.
You're going to make a lot of people happy if that passes.
Yeah.
You know, because they really, truly need an alternative to what's out there today.
I agree.
They need a fresh approach to look at this and say, hey, why not? Let's give this a try and see where it goes from here. So I'm all for that, and I'm really excited about it getting passed. You know, we need more state representatives and more officials like yourself who, and I've learned a lot about you, and you are probably one of the most honest representatives that I know. You speak from your heart, you say it like it is, and you're all about doing what's right.
That's just how I am. That's how I've
But
always
that's
been.
rare. If we had more representation in our Congress and House like yourself, it'd be a lot better place.
I
It
agree.
really would. So I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. What do you see in the future coming up?
From legislative side,
Well, just what would you like to see for our veterans?
I want to see every single veteran get the medical care, the housing care, job placement, and just treated with the respect that they deserve.
And that's big.
It's big.
That's big.
There's
It
a
really
lot of
is.
people that say, thank you for your service, but they need to say, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Here's how I'm going to help you.
You know, I can't thank you enough for being here tonight to let our viewers know what's up and coming and what we could look forward to. We've talked about a lot of good things tonight that's going to be happening, and I'm really excited about the treatment for our veterans that have PTSD. Harry, I want to thank you for being my guest tonight. Again, Harry Benton, State Representative, District 97. You're a good man. Thank you for all you're doing for our veterans. I know you're putting them first and foremost. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you to Mike for everything that you're doing. You are really doing a top-notch job with veterans and getting service animals into the hands of veterans and bettering their life. And
We
working
try.
with the PTSD memorial. That is just absolutely
You're going to be out there
amazing.
again in April, right?
I will be.
Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you.